Okay, we are being live streamed. Camille, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, well, here we are once again after a week's vacation with Jewish Wisdom for Coping with the Pandemic, our weekly Mussar drop-in. This week we are going to be focusing on the soul trait of trustworthiness or faith, emunah in Hebrew. Whether this is your first time, your umpteenth time, thank you for being here. As is our tradition, we start with a very short meditation to kind of create a sacred space together. And if you're not a meditator, you just need to close your eyes and listen, and it'll all be over in a couple minutes. So please relax and close your eyes. And take in a deep breath through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. And again, inhale through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. And with each inhale, imagine yourself floating in the ocean, floating upwards as the wave comes in. And with each exhale, imagine yourself floating back down into the trough of the wave. Floating up on the inhale, floating down on the exhale. And if thoughts should enter your mind, just observe them and watch them pass, like watching a cloud float by in the sky. And on your next inhale, say to yourself, Shema. And on the exhale, listen. Shema. Listen. In Shema, we're listening deeply, without judgment, without offering advice. In Shema, we are listening with an open heart. Shema, listen. And when you are ready, you may open your eyes. Hi, Wendy, nice to see you. I see you joined us during the meditation. I like the flower on the hair, very nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll begin. I'll begin sharing slides to open our conversation. And just to, again, orient you where we are. 2 weeks ago, we had our second discussion of trust or bitachon. And today we're beginning faith and trustworthiness, which we'll do for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks of order. And then there'll be no meeting on the 26th of August. And September 2nd, the topic is to be determined. We'll be through the IJS curriculum then. And I will figure out what it is we will focus on. Maybe something to get ready for the high holidays. Okay, so a couple of thoughts to kind of get us started. One is if you can check in and see how trust showed up for you over the last few weeks. I also want to share a quote from my daughter, which I wrote about in this week's email, which was thinking about Simone Biles withdrawing. And I, initially wasn't quite sure what to make of this. And she said, well, Dad, think how badly Biles must have been hurting to withdraw, which I thought was just an incredibly compassionate thing to say. And it really made me realize, how we could just sort of take it for granted that people are going to show up, quote, when they're supposed to, without realizing that, hey, they may have something going on. for someone to kind of withdraw after working a lifetime to get something, there must be a really good reason for it. How easy it is not to give them the benefit of the doubt or trust. So with that, I'm going to stop the share and open things up and see, is there anyone who would like to comment? Anyone behind you, Wendy, wants to say something? Camille, were you trying to unmute or were you just moving around?
No, I was trying to get a better look at everybody.
Oh, okay.
I'm new, so I'm gonna just follow the leader.
Okay. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, no problem.
There's so much emphasis put on medals and winning, and not enough emphasis, I think, put on persons, people. And she said, you know, there was a famous gymnast who was badly injured and she went out and did it anyway, and she ended up permanently injuring herself. I think she was either became a paraplegic or quadriplegic as a result and died at a relatively young age in her 40s. Simone Biles said, I'm not going to take that risk. I'm not going to chance that I'm going to mess up, seriously injure myself. And, you know, also, would that let the team down? What was letting the team down more? Her chancing really screwing it up, or her saying, no, I can't do it. She said she was shaking when she was in practice. How stressed you have to be shaking in practice, be physically shaking, unable to stop shaking. I applaud her for this. I think she's setting a wonderful example, but I'm not a highly competitive person. I'm not a big, oh, we have to, you know, kill ourselves to not let down the team. I don't believe in that nonsense. So. And by the way, I watched the horseback riding, I watched the dressage, and at one point, one of the horses was pulled because some blood was noticed in its sputum. And the judge stopped the rider, took a handkerchief and wiped the horse's mouth and said, you're out of here. Now, that's a horse. So they are taking care of those animals. They don't allow them to compete if they show any sign of unsoundness. Why shouldn't we do the same for human beings? I mean, I love horses. I think we need to do that because they can't speak for themselves. But if a human being speaks for themselves like Simone Biles did, why can't we respect that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol. Any other thoughts?
I actually will speak.
Okay.
That's okay. That was beautiful, by the way, what Carol just shared. Yeah, I was so overwhelmed when I saw what she did. I just thought how brave. I'm gonna cry. So, yeah, because I have a disease caused by 25 years of being a tax accountant and working 80 hours a week and working in offices with improper chairs and improper desks, and I have a traumatic brain injury from an accident, because here I am working 80 hours a week. I go to the eye doctor, and the boss is like, get here, get back quick, you know? And I listened. I was young and dumb and stupid. And so like, I didn't take care of myself. And to see someone, I was older when this happened. I was like in my 30s, like late 30s. So she's so young to be able to stand up and say, I have worked so hard to get to this point, but I need to stop. It's just heartbreaking. You know, you know that she had to break her own heart in order to do that. And wow, such bravery, such understanding that her life was more important than a competition, you know, and to be able to walk away. So by the time I learned to do that with jobs, it was too late.
Mm.
By the time I learned that I was the only one who was going to suffer if I didn't go to my mom's birthday or I didn't show up at family events.
Mm.
It
Well,
was
thank
too
you.
late. So yeah, this is, I hope, a lesson for the whole world that, you know, work smarter, you know, be smarter, like have your values in order. Such a lesson by such a, what is she, 24?
Yes, yes.
So young. Oh my God, if I'd known that when I was 24. Anyway, I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Camille. And we listen with an open heart. And as a recovering workaholic, I can very much, you know, relate to what you're saying. Thank you. Yeah, Joanne.
Yeah,
Hi,
I just
welcome.
wanted to agree, that, you know, and it just brought to mind, you know, when I worked for the IRS for 25 years, and I worked in a walk-in office. We served the public, and I felt very serious about really helping people and to know what they needed to do. If they didn't know, to understand the notice they got, if they didn't understand how to respond. And the thing is, when my brother was dying in 2015, and I had breast cancer in 2011, but I was still going to see a doctor over at the same hospital where he was an inpatient. But, you know, for one thing, I didn't really want to acknowledge that he was dying, but I kind of knew it on the inside. And I came after my appointment to his room, and I brought a sandwich for my sister-in-law because I knew she wasn't taking care of herself, you know, and I just said hello, and my brother was like, "Can't you stay?" And I was like, "Well, it's filing season." I didn't really feel like I could stay. And then I realized, maybe I didn't realize now, but I realized later, how foolish, you know, like the world wouldn't come to an end if I didn't go back to the office right away. But I would never see my brother again or speak to him, because when I did come, I was coming on Sundays when I was off from work, but I missed the day when he was still conscious and they were giving him, you know, drugs, and, you know, and then he went under. And so by the time I got there, no, I couldn't converse with him anymore. And so that's one of the things I regret. And yes, we have to take care of ourselves. And I do think Simone Biles set a great example. And I'm very angry at these idiots who criticized her for doing that. And hopefully she's got a lot more supporters than detractors. But, you know, these people who don't have their own priorities straight. Because you have to love yourself before you can love others, and you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. Okay.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for
Okay.
sharing your story. And, you know, I listen with an open heart. And, you know, these are, you know, one of our Yom Kippur, you know, teachings is we treat every day as it could be our last. And as Joanne said, it could be someone else's last too. And, you know, someone with, you know, lost my mother last year. It's, you know, my father's and my stepmother are getting older and their health isn't as good. I try to keep that in mind, to really cherish. I visited my in-laws last week, to really cherish the interactions that I do have while people are still healthy. All right, well, let's let's jump into today's topic a little bit after that beautiful introduction. And we're talking about this idea of trustworthiness, or emunah. And this week we're going to be focusing specifically on relationships. And there's just a couple of readings we're going to do, which we'll go through slowly. May I have a volunteer to read this first bullet, please? I can't see everyone, so please feel free to just unmute yourself.
I'll read. Communities, organizations, and societies are built on trust. How do people know if they can trust one another? Not from heroic action, but rather, trust comes from the many daily small transactions done repeatedly over time.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so what point is Rabbi Jaffe making in this first couple of sentences about trustworthiness to the group?
It's something that takes time to build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great, thank you. And what are the kinds of actions? Roy, did you unmute? Did you want to add something?
No, I was going to say pretty much the same thing.
Oh, okay. And what are the types of actions he says that are the best way to kind of build the trustworthiness?
Well, to come back to Simone Biles, her team had to trust her. And apparently they did. Apparently they really supported her. And, you know, my team can trust me. I'm going to go out there and maybe kill myself. That's not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that team support that she's given all the way along. I'm assuming now, you know, I'm making believe I'm one of her teammates, that she's supported, she's cheered me on, she's never tried to just grab all the glory for herself. She's been there when she was needed. And that's trust.
Mm.
The big heroics are not.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example, Carol. You know, yeah, it's not like the diving save. It's not the I'm going to take a bullet for you. It's the I'm going to show up for you every day and pat you on the back, even when you're having a bad day. And, yeah, Roy.
I would say it's based on reliability and predictability. Predictability. That that you can be relied on, and although you don't have to be take it to the extreme, I think being somewhat predictable in relationships is helpful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, does anyone else care to riff on that idea of predictability in relationships? What are sort of the advantages of that? Just in and of itself. Is it helpful to know how someone's going to react, be it good or not so good?
Yeah. If you have a friend who, you're in some kind of difficulty, no matter what it is, like, you're sick and you need a ride to the doctor, and you call this person, and you know that she's not going to say, well, no, I don't have time, or, it's going to have to wait till tomorrow. You know that she's going to say, okay, yeah, I'll drive you to the doctor. It's simple. I mean, it's those little things that, or you pick up the phone and say, I'm feeling really bad, talk to me. And they don't say, oh, well, I don't have time. Say, okay, I only have 5 minutes, but what can I say? What's up? If indeed they only have 5 minutes, or they take hours with you, whatever.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful examples. And I'm thinking also, I just have certain friends where they are always reliable. Like, we make plans, they're going to be there, but they're always going to be 10 minutes late. And because I can predict that, it's not like a big deal. I know that's kind of their shtick for whatever reason. and I have the choice. Do I kind of get all bent out of shape about that? Or I just be like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I have something to read, or I'm gonna, just kind of know I'll have a little bit of time to relax before things get started. All right, let's continue. Someone else to read, maybe someone we haven't heard from yet today. How about Stephanie? Would you mind reading the second bullet? See if you could unmute, please.
Practices. Choose one thing you are doing during the day. Assess whether you are
Hey,
approaching.
Oh, shoot. I did not.
Practice for the week is what I see.
Huh. I'm seeing trustworthiness in relationships. Is that? Let me stop the share and try resharing again.
There.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah. So the second bullet.
Yes. Sorry about that.
When we are on time for an appointment or meeting deadlines are done reliably over time, trust is built. The Talmud says explicitly that this type of trustworthiness is one of the most important things we can do in this world.
If you could continue, please.
Rava said, after death, when a person is brought to account for his life, the first thing the heavenly tribunal says to him is, did you conduct your business in a trustworthy way? Oh boy.
That's okay. You don't need to do the
Okay.
transliteration.
Thanks.
From the Babylonian Talmud. So great. So as this reading continues, what are some of the other, I think the second bullet kind of covers some of the things we talked about, showing up, meeting deadlines, etc. What about this thought that the heavenly tribunal asks if we conducted our business in a trustworthy way? What is that about? Is that really the first question you would expect to hear?
Is that sort of like taking an inventory of what you've done?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, doing that?
Yeah, tell me more.
Did you, I'm sorry, tell you more?
Yeah. Could you elaborate? I'm not sure I completely understand the comment. If you could elaborate.
Well, is that like looking at like your behavior? Is that what they're asking you? Like looking at, did I conduct myself in a trustworthy way? Isn't that sort of like when you take, like if you own a candy store, how much did people buy and how much did people sell? So instead you're taking like an inventory of how have I acted in society? Like, or like, let's say you're at Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, how did I, like, if there was an argument or something, how did I respond? Could I have responded differently? Is it kind of like that, like doing something like that?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful interpretation. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's sort of like an inventory, and what I'm hearing from you is kind of an expansive definition of business. It's not just the dollars and cents. It's how did I show up as a person, in relationship with others. Beautiful. Roy, did you want to add something?
Well, I was just thinking, I forget who said this. You probably remember, but I don't. The Torah basically tells us, is do unto others as you would want done to yourself, and the rest is all commentary, and the Talmud is commentary on the Torah. So it seems to me that if there is such a tribunal or judgment day, that's just one of the many things that will be judged by in our lives.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this also relates
Believe in
to,
that.
yeah,
you
sorry,
know,
were you?
I do so.
So you were break, I think you froze there for just a second. We didn't quite catch your last sentence.
No, I just said if you believe in that sort of thing, which I personally do. So that's the way I want to live my life.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And whether we believe that or not, it's still a really interesting principle because we would like to, I think, have a legacy where at the end of our life, we can look back and say, all right, I treated people well. I did a good job in my relations with others. Wendy.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. It's a little different, but I think if I have done my business in a trustworthy manner, then I'm showing that I actually trust. Because here I am doing my business, and if I act in an untrustworthy manner, then I'm trying to control something that I don't know. I'm trying to control something that I don't think that I have control over, that I don't trust will come out right. Does that make sense? And so I think it reflects who a person is. And yes, I do think that would be the first question that the tribunal would ask.
Yeah, beautiful. I think what you're saying is if I'm not like acting in a trustworthy way for my business or other people, if I'm searching every customer before I leave their store, or before they leave my store, I'm not going to have very many customers. If I'm, have to grill my teenager every second of the day and track their phone and drug test them when they've done nothing but get good grades, that, in my opinion, might, undermine trust in the relationship and somebody's self-confidence. So I don't know, is this the kind of along the lines of what you're saying, Wendy?
That's good. That's really close. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is like that. And I do think it has to do with relationship and also what's in your heart. I don't know. I mean, I had a really strange, because, we think about trust when we're thinking about trust. And I had a strange thing happen to me just the opposite way, that I lost trust. And I was trying to put that together. I've always liked to go to the dentist, and I have crowns. And there was just one time really recently that I went, and I don't know why, but I had a thought, and this reminds me of Simone too. It said, don't let this person take that crown out because it's going to choke you. And I just pulled away, and I told him, no, because I'm afraid it's going to get in my throat, get lodged in my throat. So then he got a piece of gauze, and he said, no, it's not going to happen. And sure enough, it did happen. So I'm thinking with Simone, I mean, I know I'm going way back, but with Simone, I'm thinking, we have to trust her judgment. She was given an upstairs brain, and she's using it. So me, that's kind of what happened to me. And now the second time when I went in, then I have lost that trust. So will it come back? I don't know. But I think you can lose it really quickly, because all these years I have trusted, and now all of a sudden I don't. So I think you better be careful.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy, for sharing that story. Life is complicated, and we get intuitions, we have knowledges, and I know this is a really, really stupid example given the seriousness of what you just talked about choking, but like I'm a San Francisco Giants fan. Sorry if there's any Dodger fans out there. But like their front office, when they're talking about when you trade for players, and they're like, you need to know your own players best. And you can't really know the players you're getting from another organization, but you really need to know your own organization and what the players are capable of and what they're not capable of. And that's that's really important. So I think, again, for Simone, for our other things, having a good relationship with ourselves, knowing what we're capable of and what we're not capable of, and not letting anyone try to talk us into, sure, there's one thing if someone's trying to support you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit, but if you're shaking before, and you're the best gymnast of all time, when you're in danger and when you're not.
She trusted herself. And
Yeah.
that's something else. If you work with trust with other people, does that reinforce your ability to trust yourself?
Mhm.
And when you conduct yourself in a trustworthy way, you follow through with your agreements and commitments.
Mhm.
And sometimes that means your agreements and commitments to yourself as well. And you might commit to your team, but you also commit to yourself that you're not going to purposely put yourself out in some situation where you're going to be injured, for
Yeah.
example. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's kind of like, it's like I've made a commitment to the workplace. I'm going to show up to kind of do my best, and your own safety, other people's safety could be on the line. So let's see. There's more. Rava goes on and says more about this. So let's see where he goes. Does this say trustworthiness relationships too? Is that what everybody sees? The other items on Rava's list? Can I have a volunteer to read?
I'll do it. The other items on Rava's list include setting aside fixed times to study Torah, engaging in raising the next generation, and hoping for salvation. These seem
Oops, Victoria, you just went on mute there.
These seem like much more spiritual and exalted activities than buying and selling.
Great.
Go
So let's pause here a little bit. Okay. So what is this next point then? So all of a sudden, in addition to trusting yourself and conducting your business in a trustworthy way, suddenly we're having fixed times for Torah study.
Mhm.
Is that's suddenly, is this just like, the rabbi, maybe we've met this person or whatever you've talked about, suddenly Torah study comes in and, we were in rabbinical school last year, we're getting examples of things not to do. And it's like a parent comes to you and says, my kid's learning on Zoom and they're falling behind in math. That's not the time to ask if there's any Jewish content included in the math lessons, or maybe they need some Hebrew study after school, Is that what Rava is trying to do here, to just shove some Jewish content in, or is there a bigger point that he's making?
Well, Torah study and prayer seems like a commitment, but a commitment to oneself. And part of behaving in a trustworthy manner is following through with commitments.
Yeah, so part of it might be, following through on other kinds of commitments, commitments to ourselves, commitments to elevate ourselves through Torah study. Beautiful. Other thoughts about this? Randy, you look like you're percolating a little bit. This particular passage may be more challenging than some of the others, but I'd love to kind of hear what you think about what we've talked about so far.
Well, I'm thinking about something, the larger idea that because trust, its heart, it brings people together, and it's one of the things that can repair and make the world right. And that's why we started reading about communities without trust. And I was thinking about there is a person must have a certain amount of wholeness within themselves to be a good businessman or to create an atmosphere of trust, because people are different, people have problems, and to sort of have that, that you're reaching for, that's not for one person, but for, in the fighting, and they can act as a manager or a diplomat, and they understand, they take the time to understand each group in themselves and can bring them together. And it's maybe not what this one passage was, but I'm very thoughtful on that, of just and you can't do it by just being concerned about yourself or being concerned about others. That it's a small caring day by day about wanting to make the world a better place. And a little bit, I think the word for trust is like, underneath it is the word for truth. And honesty, and just truth in a way that, truth is, hard, because it's like, well, I'm not perfect, but I'm not completely bad. And it's like, oh, I have to weigh out all these things, and I'm good at some things and other people are good at other things. And we got to find a way to, to work together. So, and I think this idea of trust is talking about that, where we care about each other's and ourselves. And like with the gymnast, I really appreciate what she was doing, because someone else, it could have been different, but I really felt, it's like, no, I need to care about myself. And by caring about myself, I'm caring about everyone, because if I go out and try to perform, and when I'm very likely to get injured, when I am not at my 100%, if somebody was getting in a car and driving down the road, they would say, oh, this person, they've done this great thing. But we as people in the audience can be selfish and want what we want, when this person, to me, they did a wonderful thing, because they were not only caring about themselves, they were caring about, to perform and have something go really bad hurts everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Randy. And I'm just sort of amazed at how deep we can go when we just talk about this idea about conducting our business in a way. And Randy, you said so many interesting and significant things along the way there. Like I particularly liked, the part of doing your business, properly is listening to everybody, listening to all sides, and trying to have a respect for the truth. And there's all kinds of other soul traits that we need to practice that kind of build up towards that one question. Joanne, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I just also wanted to point out, just as a result of Simone Biles stepping back and dropping out.
No spoilers.
What do you mean? You didn't watch?
I haven't watched yet, so don't say anything.
All right, I won't say.
Okay, I'm on the West Coast, so I haven't watched yet. Okay. All right, so we're going to get to our breakout groups now. And each week we spend, 5 to 8 minutes sort of in a one-on-one. And I want to say, for this week's practice, I think this is what Stephanie had seen earlier, we want to do at least one thing, like replying to an email, following through on a small commitment, arriving on time, that will reinforce another's trust in us. So with your partner, oh, sorry, I had the wrong title here, but maybe just brainstorm a way to carry out the practice. what's one area that each of you can work on? One small thing that we can do, because in Mussar, really, at the end of the day, it is about how do I show up? And I'm gonna first copy this into the chat. And then I'll stop the share and then I will open the breakout rooms. Okay. All right, so I'm going to open the rooms now, and you should see a button on your screen that says Join Breakout Room. And I will call you back in a little while. And for those of you who've been watching on the live stream, thank you so much for being here. This is the part where where I say goodbye. If you're watching this video, please like or follow us on YouTube. And if you want to join our email list, stop by AmericanMussar.com and you'll get the bi-weekly email, which introduces each topic. Thanks so much for being here. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So I am curious. I would love to hear how that went. How were your conversations? And would anyone care to share ways that we can sort of practice making ourselves more reliable? Stephanie.
I unmuted without you telling me. So it was a good conversation, and somebody mentioned the P word, procrastination, and I think that should be one of your topics, because that to me also builds into this trust thing, that a lot of times I don't trust myself that I'm going to do some things because I just don't want to do them. And so yeah, and that's something that is sort of bothering me right now, that came up in this conversation. And so I'm going to have to just kind of tackle that. I mean, I'm very good at taking care of everything with my job, and I'm just always so trustworthy with that, and making sure everything is done on time, and but my own personal life, there's a lot of things that are just not completed yet.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. And I'm listening with an open heart, and I can relate. Can anyone else sort of relate to this idea of sort of procrastination and things around their personal life? And, one of the keys to remember with Mussar is we want to start with something really small. We don't need to like boil the ocean, and it's easy to get. Is it okay if I comment on what you said?
Oh yeah, please.
Okay, great. It's so easy, speaking for myself, to get kind of overwhelmed with my own to-do list or all of the things which I'm putting off, and just picking one really small thing can kind of help get the ball rolling. And then, as I learned from one coach I had, you pick something so small you can't possibly fail. In some ways, it's almost the smaller the better. Just to kind of get that sort of success story in your own brain to kind of get going. And that's where we need to start. And I used to have this horrible habit of writing really let's just say unfortunate emails when something upset me, or I didn't like something, or I got an email, and I would send it off, and then I'd have to be like pouring gas on the fire. And just over time, I've gotten better about, I waited half an hour and I sent the email anyway. I waited half an hour and I modified the email, but not as much as I should have. I waited an hour. I waited until the next day and then wrote like a really calm email. And now it's like, I've wrote the email, I waited till the next day, and this happened this week. And it's like, you know what, I'm just not even gonna send the email. I'm just gonna let that person have the last word. And I'm summarizing literally 10 years of work to get to that point. So, but it's just kind of finding some small way to become more trustworthy and more reliable. And maybe in this topic, it's like, I can give someone a sense of safety that they can send an email that is going to piss me off, and I'm not going to scorched earth in response. I'm just going to kind of let it go. Other thoughts? Yeah, Nancy.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic because, and I said to Joanne, most people in my life say I'm the most trustworthy person they have ever met. So I don't have one thing that can reinforce anybody's trust to me. I respond quickly. I respond. If somebody wants something, I'll respond. I don't wait. I don't procrastinate. Time management, my life is a puzzle. I fit everything to the T. I get everything done every day. This is just my pattern. This is how I've worked in the workplace. I arrive early to everywhere. Now, the reverse of that is it pisses people off because they're like, because I expect the same from others. And so if I don't get that trustworthiness from somebody else, that I can't trust them, I'm going through a horrible thing with my condo that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. It's still happening.
Oh dear.
There were things that happened today. My kids were attacked last night. They're okay, but they were threatened. And so I'm overwhelmed. Okay. And today was the first day that I trusted them, that they would be there in the condo to get things done. Did it get done properly? No, because I wasn't there. Now, with that being said, I have to trust that they did the best they could. My daughter-in-law was studying. She was not supervising them. And this is what pisses people off about me, is I will supervise contractors and I'll always ask questions because I don't trust they're going to do the right thing. So they left today, and there's 3 areas on the grant. First of all, they broke my stovetop. So now I have to go buy a new stove tonight. The backsplash is not big enough. So now they have to come and repair that wall. They didn't paint underneath the granite. So the guy said he's finished. And I'm like, oh, hell no, you're not. Thinking to myself. So now I've got to change my plans tomorrow that I told them I could not be there, and be the trustworthy person to be sure that everything gets done. So it could be a mixed baggage, to be so trustworthy, but then other people aren't. I'm very frustrated, as you could tell, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm, holding space for your frustration, and sometimes we get frustrated, and that's okay. And it is, some of us are naturally more balanced in certain soul traits than others. And as you described, for being the trustworthy person, you're pretty balanced, and that's great. But in other areas, you have, you're getting tested. And
well, the other part that came, and I didn't know if we were going to talk about it today, was faith. And my faith is always tested because I don't trust others. I don't trust something's going to be done the way I want it. So that's why I do it myself if I can. And I have to trust and be faithful and have faith out there that these people are really going to do a great job, because it's been amazing so far. But don't cut corners now that it's almost done.
Yeah, well, we'll have another week to kind of delve into this issue, but it's all about, today we've all been talking about, being in relationship with other people, and that is hard. I'm starting an internship soon. I'm going to be going into an office and working with other people for the first time in like 10 years. And like, oh my God, I'm going to have to deal with everybody else's faults. How am I going to deal with that? It's not easy. It's not easy for me.
No.
Anyone else care to share?
Sure.
Brian?
Oh, did someone else want to share?
Oh, go ahead. Why don't you go, Camille? We haven't heard from you as
Okay.
much, and then we'll go.
Oh, okay. I just loved what that young lady said, but Nancy, sorry. Sometimes my brain doesn't work, but yeah, what we talked about in our thing, in our small group today, was that I've been promising myself to I used to volunteer before I got sick at the food pantry. And if I could just do it once a month, right? Like I would feel a part of again, you know? And so like, I'm going to make that phone call this week, because I've been saying for months, I'm like, I think I could do it again. But then what I realized is I actually, without thinking or worrying about it, I offered my landlord the apartment in the back. We're like 3 little bungalows, and then there's an apartment in the back is empty, and it's for rent. And I offered to walk up a couple of steps, which I was able to do. I was so shocked, and open and close it. So, you know, and make sure that, you know, so people can see it for the rentals and stuff. And I was so, it's like, I'm like, it's going to be good for me to walk up those few steps, because a couple of years, or even last summer, when the neighbor who lived there asked me to do her a favor, I couldn't walk up those 4 steps. I couldn't go up there. Like, I got stuck halfway up. So you have to laugh, right? Like,
well, congratulations. It's wonderful. It's what a great metaphor for sort of this whole process is at some point, you know, getting up the 4 steps is a huge accomplishment and a huge breakthrough.
And I was Nancy. I was perfect when I worked, but getting sick, I remember one time driving back from somewhere going, if I allow myself to be imperfect, then I can allow other people to be imperfect. And the simple example that I could give is it used to piss me off when people didn't return their shopping cart to the thing. And even though I could barely walk, I would try to return mine. And the day that I said, I can't do this anymore, and I left my cart, I think I'm gonna cry, it's crazy. I left my cart next to my car, and I thought, aha, I do not know what's going on in somebody else's mind. So when I see that someone else cannot return their cart, I no longer like go, oh, I can't believe they didn't return their cart. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe they can't return their cart. Maybe they just got a phone call and their husband's in the hospital. They got to rush to the hospital. So returning their cart would take up too much time. And so like, yeah, I had that thing of, I am so perfect. I need everybody else to be perfect. And why aren't they being perfect? And I actually hover around contractors too. Like, you doing that right? Wait, are you sure that's right? I think I drive them crazy.
I could probably write a whole book on like the Mussar of dealing with contractors, because that's not an easy line to tread, you know. That is, you know.
Yeah, I think that's normal for everybody. Like I don't know any perfect contractor, and a lot of times they'll go, oh, do you want me to paint that little part? I'm like, well, yeah, it's part of the bathroom vanity. Like, yes, you should paint that little edge. So
we're coming up against our time here, so I'm going to pause you there. Maybe just speed round, you know, 10 seconds, 15, Carol.
Well, I talked with Camille, and one of the things that came up was that when you have an illness, serious health challenges, you don't trust your own body to support you. And that's something you have to work around, you know, so don't commit to something you think you won't be able to do, or commit and say, there's always a possibility that my health will stop me from doing this.
Yeah,
That's all.
thank you. Victoria, was that your hand I saw, or were you just moving?
I'll say mine because it's super simple. Mine is just when I wake up, I don't want to look at my phone. That's it. I want to have some kind of spiritual practice, like a prayer, or, you know, read, you know, something like that, but not the phone. So it's super simple, but it's building trust with myself. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I hope we'll see you again next time, and we'd love to kind of hear how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in the Philippines, by the way.
You are. Oh my goodness. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I think you
Yeah.
set the
Probably the
record for
farthest away.
the farthest
So good to be
geography.
here. Yeah.
So thank you.
Ray,
All right, friends. Well,
can I just say something to procrastinators?
Sure.
Procrastinators, to me, are just prioritizers who need to become delegators. I let you all off the hook.
well, thank you. Well, my practice is I realized twice this week I kind of let people down because I didn't inform them of changes in my plans until the last minute. So I was really busy and there were good reasons for that. But it was like a week ago, I was thinking, all right, I need to let so-and-so and so-and-so know about something because my plans have changed this week and I forgot to do it. So I'm going to really focus and make sure that I'm informing people in a timely manner. All right, friends, well, we'll close with a very quick meditation. So please, once again, close your eyes and take in a deep breath through the nose and hold. And exhale through the mouth and hold. Let's just take a moment of gratitude for these fellow souls who've been traveling together today. Carved out an hour of their time to listen and to be present. And let's extend our gratitude to others in our lives who will show up and be present for us. And finally, we'll turn our gratitude and compassion towards ourselves. And give ourselves compassion and encouragement to do the best we can, to show up for other people, and more importantly, to show up for ourselves. Friends, thank you so much for being here today. Wish you a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week. And I hope to see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Greg. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Bye-bye.
shalom, everybody.
Victoria, I am curious how you found us. Are you on my email list or?
I've been to a few of your Mussar sessions live and in person at CBJ.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I've been to a few of those. And then, when I'm in the Bay Area, I go to CBJ. So I do get your email. Your email
It
list.
also looked familiar. Yes. So thank you for reminding me. Well, I just accepted this week my rabbinical internship at CBJ. So I'll be an intern there for the next year, the next 9 months. So I'm really excited about that. So next time you're in town, I hope to see you in person.
I would love that. Yeah, wonderful. And thank you, everyone. It's wonderful. Yeah.
You're very welcome. Okay, bye-bye.
God bless.
And Camille, let me ask you the same question. How did you find us?
Oh, okay, I'm on mute. I